Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your old pal, the KMN 1971, back with my final comic book haul for 2022. Man, another year has just flown by. I'm going to end it off just the way I like it, with a nice mix of semi modern books, 90s, copper, bronze, some fillers, some thrillers, some cheap specs, some first appearances, and we're going to top it off with two pretty well, what I consider two pretty major indie pickups. One old school and one new school that I'm very happy to add into the PC. So let's get on with it. Kicking it off, Superior Iron Man #1, a spec book from months past. Spoilers, he does not show up in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. But with Secret Wars around the corner and me being an Iron Man fan, why the heck not? It was cheap, as is the case with most of these books. I have about like 42 books. 11 of them were bought online, and like the rest of them were all bought between that, $2 to $4 price range. So here's another book that used to be hot, I don't know, sometime last year, Gotham Academy #1. Couldn't find this book anywhere, and then I stumbled across two for less than cover price. So cool. Another book that I ended up buying online last year. Batman Arkham Knight #1. DC really missed out an opportunity bringing the Arkham Knight into the mainstream DC universe, but who knows? Maybe they'll smarten up, but very cool. Amazing Spider-Man #93. This is the A cover. Another example of a book that I ended up buying online. I have the Stegman, I don't know, like B cover, C cover, but this is the first appearance of Ben Reilly as Chasm. Marvel Team Up. I think this is volume 3, maybe. But Spider-Man and Wolverine. I already picked up issue #2, so I went back and I picked up issue #1. I'm a sucker for the old Marvel Team Ups. So, and this one was, even though it's not the old school original volume, this was pretty good. Over the course of this year, I've become a fan of picking up comics that aren't available for purchase, over the shelf, that you either have to send away for or they're included in toys or whatnot. So this is one of those examples. This is Uncanny X-Men #258. And this was packaged with a toy, as you can see, not for resale. And I've always loved that Psylocke cover. She-Hulk #4. This is the first meeting between She-Hulk and Daredevil. So, like I said, I wasn't a fan of the show, but that was one of my favorite episodes of the season. So, and I'm a sucker for first meetings between heroes. So, cool. I was surprised to find this at like $3. Black Widow #1 from the Marvel Knights volume. And this is the first full appearance of Yelena Belova, who is going to be, I would consider it to be a major player in the MCU moving forward. Queen Sonya #32, another Lucio Perillo masterpiece. I mean, look at that. That is just sick. Outsiders #8. I might already own a copy of this. I know I have a pretty good run of this volume in one of my long boxes buried somewhere, but why not? I picked this up like the week that Black Adam came out, or the week after, and this is the first appearance of the modern Sabak, I believe. Sandman #50. I've been trying to complete my Sandman run. I have a little over half of the volume, but this was one of the issues that I was missing, and I wanted to pick it up. I tried to pick them up in chronological order for reading purposes, but I couldn't come across this one. And one of the reasons that I wanted it is that it contains a pinup by Todd McFarlane of Dream. So I don't see Todd McFarlane and Neil Gaiman collaborating anytime soon. So why not? And I also picked up the Sandman Special #1, which features the first appearance of Orpheus, who might be showing up in season 2. Who knows? But this is another thing that I like to do is, if I'm collecting a run, I like to pick out single issues that might pop and cost me more cash down the road. So, being a cheapskate, I try to pick them up when I'm cheap. I mean, when they're on the cheap, rather. Speaking of on the cheap, here we have Captain America Annual #11 from all the way back in 1992. And this is the first part of that Citizen Kang storyline. So, yeah, I already own the Fantastic Four issue, so I thought it would be, cool to pick this up on the storyline on the cheap, but I just cannot get through it. It's a little bit too 90s. And this kind of illustrates how how long the downward spiral for quality wise for annuals that's been going on for a while. Here's part 2 of Thor annual number 17. And remember when this one was kind of a hot book for a little while when Loki was out? Mighty Thor annual number 18, and I guess is the first time that Loki ever appeared as a female. So let's make a little bit of room. All right, moving along. Let's get into some coppers. Iron Man number 232, and this is another story arc that I'm trying to put together. This is the last part of the Armor Wars story arc. So I think I still need to get like 4 more issues, and I'll have that story arc complete. But it is worth noting, this last issue is one of the most beautifully illustrated issues of Iron Man, in my opinion. It's illustrated by Barry Windsor Smith, so for that reason alone, it's definitely worth picking up. Elf Quest number 1 from Epic Comics. Love the Epic Comics line from the early 1980s, as well as Epic Illustrated. So this was my introduction to Elf Quest. So, cool. Swamp Thing number 67, my second copy. This features, as you can see, an 8-page special preview of Hellblazer. So, why not? Finish off the coppers with Detective Comics number 546, probably fine minus, but it was only $2 or $3, and this is the first appearance of Onyx Adams, who is a very minor, obscure Batman family character, and I'm not even sure if they might have gender swapped the character over the many reboots. I'm not positive, but it was a Batman family character that I did not have in the collection, so why the heck not? All right, how about a big batch of bronze? So, kicking it off, we have Superman number 331, a book that I used to own as a wee lad, and anytime I come across any of my childhood comics as an adult, I just pick them up, no questions asked. And it doesn't hurt that it's one of those Whitman variants also. Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes, number 200. Nothing really special aside from the Dave Cockrum artwork on the inside. Star Wars number 17. This will give me a consecutive run of the first 19 issues of Star Wars Volume 1. A series that I was pecking away at, trying to complete, but then all the prices ended up rising in my local area for all the filler issues, so I kind of stopped. Marvel Team Up number 128. I've always liked this goofy Captain America cosplay cover. Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, number 85. This is one of those Spinneret classics for me, yet again, and this was my introduction to the Hobgoblin, who I instantly thought was just such an awesome villain for Spidey. Still one of my top 10 favorite Spider-Man villains. Marvel Premiere featured Monarch Starstalker, number 32. Hey, don't judge me. First appearance of a Z-list character, and just a hole in my Marvel Premiere run. So, but you never know, right? Another Z-list character, The Defenders, number 94. This is my second copy, and this is the first appearance of the Gargoyle. Found another Conan filler that I didn't have, Conan the Barbarian, number 95. Thor, number 275, which features the first appearance of Loki's wife, who I can't remember her name, but I've been around Thor comics for a long time, and this was the first that I'd ever heard that Loki had a wife. So, surprise to me. I guess it was because I picked up Iron Man number 1 that got me that itch to try to go back and pick up some of the Bob Layton run from Iron Man from the 1970s, early 1980s. Bob Layton is probably my all-time favorite Iron Man creator, so when I see these out in the wild and they're in good condition and they're cheap, I definitely pick them up. So we have Invincible Iron Man number 129, actually a filler issue, only a Bob Layton cover. Number 134, and that's what I'm talking about. That's Iron Man in his prime, as far as I'm concerned. Number 135. And number 136. Getting close to the end now. All right, we're going to finish it off with this next batch of books. Here we have, and this is some of the better stuff. So, in my opinion anyway, Teen Titans number 48, which is the Joker's daughter ends up joining the Teen Titans. That's one thing, but it's the first appearance of Bumblebee, who is the first African American heroine in in the DC universe. So for that reason alone, and I kind of like the character too. So for that reason alone, I think this issue is severely, severely undervalued, just for the historical importance. Chamber of Darkness number 4. Shout out to Reed Comics for showing this off in one of his hauls. This is a book that's also been on my list. This features like the Conan the Barbarian prototype story, which it's definitely not Conan, but it's by the same creative team of Roy Thomas and Barry Windsor Smith. The Barbarian in the story looks very much like the early renditions of Conan by Barry Windsor Smith in the first year's worth of stories. So for Conan collectors, I can't see how you wouldn't want this in your PC. So very happy to finally add that. Thanks once again to Reed Comics for showing it off in his haul and reminding me that this was on my list. Moving along, Avengers number 112. This is the first appearance of Mantis, and I will admit it was at Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, or holiday special, that motivated me to finally go out and pick this book up. So not as expensive as it was, say around Guardians Volume 2. It's another one that's hit, one of those autocorrect due to the economy. So yeah, really happy to finally add the first appearance of Mantis into my collection, as well as Avengers number 144, the first appearance of Patsy Walker as Hellcat. Yes. And illustrated by pretty much my favorite artist of all time, George Perez, the late, great George Perez. # George Perez forever. So, awesome. Very happy to add that into the PC. Darth Vader, number 6. The first appearance of the Grand Inquisitor. And, boy, has this book dropped in value. Fortunately, I paid around $30 for this, but I want to say during Obi-Wan, this was going for $100, $200. Crazy. So, yeah, awesome to finally be able to get that into my Star Wars collection. And we're going to end it off with some indie goodness. So, yes, Saga, number 1. A story that I have been wanting to read for years and years. For the longest time, you couldn't even pick up a first print high grade of Saga for under $200. But the economy, unfortunately, is what it is right now, and this is another book that you can get a lot cheaper than it has been historically for a long time. So I ended up picking a lot up of number 1, number 2, and number 3 at a pretty affordable price. And I'm very happy to finally add it into the collection. I've heard it compared to the sci-fi and the old heavy metal magazines of 1980s or Epic Illustrated. And yes, all of the above. Maybe because my pull list is at such an all-time low that I've been searching out for newer content and maybe not so superhero or Star Wars related. So this is hitting that spot. So really enjoying it. And for last book of the haul, and I guess tied with Saga number 1 for my pick of the haul, we have, boom, Old School Goodness, Fantasy Quarterly, number 1, the first appearance of ElfQuest in comics, which explains why I ended up picking up that ElfQuest number 1 from Epic so I could actually read it. Even though slabs are the best way, investment-wise, to pick up books, I'm old school and I hate slabs. So, but this book is so hard to pick up in good condition that if you look online, what people consider to be fine or very fine is just not in line with my opinion. It's printed on very cheap paper stock, so so why not? So this is a CGC 8.0, so I guess a very fine, and I'm very happy to pick this up. This along with Cerebus and Love and Rockets were the first indie comics that I was made aware of through the ads in Marvel Comics way back in the day. So I was always very curious about these books, and I love the early 80s indie scene. Now, this book is actually from 1978, so it's actually technically Bronze Age, but or not technically, it just is. But once again, early indie scene. Loved it. And this is a story arc along with Saga that I've always wanted to read. I read the first issue from the Epic line, and as an adult, it seemed very childish, but I heard it gets more adult as you go on. So who knows, it's one of those story arcs that I can pick up pretty cheap after you get by this issue. So that's all I have for this year. I'll be back before the end of the year, probably on New Year's Eve, with my top 52 pickups of the year and my overall summary of 2022, the good, the bad, the funny. And speaking of which, and then I'll be back next year, continuing on with my What's in the spec box series. That'll probably be like another 3 parts of that. So still plenty of content coming from this channel moving forward. So thank you all for watching, liking, and subscribing, and I will see you all later. Take care.